I think documenting the struggle is
Mm,
really helpful for people because we all go through this struggle,
yeah,
but we usually don't really share the struggle. We keep it
yeah,
to ourselves. But man, if
yeah.
we document this struggle, I think that's so helpful to everybody out there that's trying to get through the struggle themselves.
Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that shaped how they see life, helping you discover new perspectives that can transform your own daily journey. Today's guest is Kelly K. Walker, an ADHD-friendly speaking coach who knows what it's like to feel overwhelmed by too many ideas at once. She's built her career helping brilliant minds turn their scattered thoughts into something powerful, and she brings that same gentle clarity to everything she touches. Let's turn into Kelly's world for a few minutes and hear the quote that's guided her through it all. Can you tell me your name and a little bit about yourself and what your favorite quote is?
My name is Kelly K. Walker, and I am a public speaker and speaking coach for people who own businesses and also have ADHD. So they have a hard time focusing and making themselves sit down and write a speech. So I help
Oh,
them with shortcuts so they can get it done.
okay.
And I have lots and lots of favorite quotes.
Oh,
Today, my favorite quote is different than yesterday's favorite quote.
okay.
Today, my favorite quote is nobody cares about your story until it changes their story.
Nobody cares about your story until it changes their story.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like, help
That
me
means
understand.
if somebody wants to be a really good, inspiring speaker and they just get up and talk about themselves and all the hard things they went through and what happened to them because of it. It doesn't really matter to the audience unless you show the audience how they can change their own lives by learning the lesson you learned from your story.
Ooh, so nobody cares. So the question is, I guess, to understand the quotes in my own words would be people always asking, what's in it for me? Why should I care?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. What's in it for me?
Yeah. And the next logical question would be, how do we make people care about our story? Okay, what's yeah, that would be the next question.
That's a really good question. Do you want me to give you my opinion on that?
Please do, please do.
Okay. If you want somebody to care about your story, you make it about them. And that means even if you don't know them, you tell the parts of your story that you don't really want anyone to know. The parts that are embarrassing and ugly and things that you're wishing you didn't have to tell anybody. But if you are authentic and tell people the ugly parts of your story, then they can see themselves in your story. And then when you get through the hard times, they can see a path of their own through their own hard times. So you've got to be open and honest and share the ugly parts of your story, even if you don't want to look.
Yeah, it's you earlier on you mentioned the word authentic. I feel like that word has been used so often, even in places where it doesn't even mean we're not even talking about authentic. People use the word authentic. That even me, I start wondering what does the word authentic even mean? Because now I don't even know because everything is authentic. You have to be authentic. The meal is authentic. The food is, and I'm like, okay, what is not exactly authentic? So in this context, what do you mean when you say authentic?
I mean, don't pretend that you've got it all figured out. Don't pretend that you're smarter than your audience. Don't pretend that you're better. Don't pretend that you're richer. Don't pretend that you're more famous. Don't pretend that you've got everything figured out. Just be honest about how hard it's been for you and be honest about your struggles and don't try to put a brave face on everything and pretend that you've got it all together when you don't.
I guess that would be telling the parts that nobody talks about on social media.
Yes, totally. Yeah.
Hey guys, I said I was going to do this today. Guess what? I did not do
I
it.
didn't do it.
I was too cheeky to show up. Ah,
Instead, I took a
yeah,
nap.
I cheeky. I think I'll try that one of these days. Yeah,
Yeah.
when I just hold my on TikTok or Instagram videos or shorts, any of those platforms. I was just like, hi guys. I said I was going to post this, and guess what? I was afraid.
I love that.
But we'll
Do
go and get
it.
through. We'll go and get through.
We will get through it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I feel that that's what's relatable because people
Yeah.
paint these fantasies, these imaginations, and that's oftentimes people are like, okay, I guess that everybody's doing well in business other than me. There's something wrong with me. I don't know what I think.
Right.
I think I'm stupid.
Right. That's what social media does. It makes people feel stupid and it makes them feel like a failure
Yeah.
because people go on social media and they only post the highlights. They only post the best parts of them. They don't post the real parts. So people are comparing their regular everyday failures to somebody's highlights all the time. And that's not a fair comparison.
Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join, or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation. Yeah,
It's crappy.
it's not. And for me as a podcaster, it's one of the reasons why when I started, I know it was ugly. The videos were not really exactly good and everything. And I'm like, post it like that so that in the future I can say, yeah, go check my first episode. It was terrible, but I started
Right?
anyway, right? It's certainly an inspirational flex to be able to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you
Feel the
mentioned
fear and do it anyway.
you mentioned part of the ways to get people to care about story. You mentioned telling the stories, authentic, relatable stories, right? Stories that people can connect with as being a human, right? And
Yes.
so I guess I'll be like Oliver. Oliver asks for more. What else could we do?
Yeah. What else could we do? I think documenting the struggle is really helpful for people because we all go through this struggle,
Yeah,
but we usually don't really share the struggle. We keep
yeah,
it to ourselves. But man, if
yeah.
we document this struggle, I think that's so helpful to everybody out there that's trying to get through the struggle themselves.
Yeah, you see, you ask almost everybody now, like, "Oh, tell me your story." They're like, "Oh, I'm boring. There's really nothing interesting about me to tell you. I don't have an interesting story. Just a regular mom in living in such regular city. Nothing big or special
Mhm.
happening, right?"
Right.
Because they don't actually spend time to say, "Okay, what happened today? What's fantastic that I could share?" Right? And
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
I want to know: is there a way, is there a framework we could use to actually make it easier to document our stories?
Do you keep a story file?
What's that?
Every day. Well, if you don't have to do it every day, I don't do it every day. But like maybe once a week, sit down and think what interesting things happened to me this week, or just what things happened to me, period, that I could maybe turn into a story. So like the other day, there was a baby bird stuck in my window and I could see the mama bird in the tree trying to get the baby bird to get out, and the baby bird couldn't get out. So I went and got a stick and I put it in the window for the baby bird to climb up out of. And that's not that exciting, but that's a fun story that I can tell now. And if I hadn't written it down, I wouldn't remember it. I would forget it in a month and have no idea that ever happened to me. So there's this really good book I recommend. It's called Storyworthy. And in the book, it's by Matthew Dix. It's called Storyworthy. And in the book, he gives an assignment called Homework for Life. And he says every day, write down something that happened to you that day. Kind of like keeping a journal or a diary, but with the intention that you will have a giant collection of life stories someday. So that if you're a podcaster or a speaker or an author, you can just open it up and look for stories to share.
Yeah, it's a good thing you mentioned collecting those stories, because one thing I've noticed is that with collecting stories and taking pictures is that our brain stores everything. I think most of the things, but sometimes what we need to remember the story is just something like, a line, two lines that I helped a baby bed, and boom, you remember everything. Oh yeah, you begin to remember the details, right? So you don't have to get all the details, but you just need something good enough such that when you see it, you quickly remember this was what happened that day.
Yes. Yeah. Just one or two lines.
Well,
It's a really good idea.
yeah, I mean
I've been doing it for a while.
the fact that the guy said homework for life. The word homework, it strikes fear in the heart of many.
It does, right? It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, and now you have to add for life for it. I feel like it's like You've been sentenced for life with hard labor.
So it's bad and worse.
Oh yeah, that's for life. It's not like, I mean, can't you give us something we could just do once and for? Like, no, no. The thing about doing this practice is that what happens is that you start paying attention to the things that happen in your life.
Yes. You become much more aware and thoughtful and mindful
Yeah,
and
and
grateful.
yeah, imagine what happened, right? You're trying to set up with the computer, right? That's the story, and then you use your phone. That's the story. Like, I mean, you could take the story any way you want, but that's a story that you could use to illustrate a talk and say, yeah, guess what? This was how I was feeling and stuff like that, and people would really, really relate to it if they're podcasters, if you're trying to connect online. And some
Yep.
persons have had terrible experience where they're like, yeah, I feel like I don't even know what I'm doing and stuff like this.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, wow.
Every story has a use. Yeah.
Exactly. And the moment it's like if I decide to say I want to write a joke every day, guess what happens? I start paying attention to the things that make me laugh.
Yes. You become
Yeah.
funnier.
Yeah. And then every time I laugh, I'm like, oh, why did I laugh? What happened? What was funny? Oh, she said this. Oh yeah, that was funny. And guess what? I'm paying attention to things that that makes me happy. And same thing if I want to say, okay, I'm going to write sad things that happen. And guess what? All the things that are sad that make me cry, that make me feel bad about myself, I start paying attention to them. And I'll see more of it. Like, yeah, it
You
will look as
would.
if my life is just sad.
You
Because,
would get so depressed.
yeah, like, why am I like this?
Oh,
What's wrong? What's
that'd be
going on?
terrible. Don't
Yeah.
do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll stick with the story aspects, or maybe the
Yes.
maybe
Yes.
the joke aspects. But yeah, the same
I
thing with
love
the
the
with the
joke
joke.
one.
Yeah, and the thing is that you can mix the joke with the story aspects. So like, what happened today that made me
Yes.
laugh, right? So you can use those
Yes.
stories to support your presentations, your talk, and all that in the future.
Yes. And then you keep an eye out for funny stories all day long.
Yeah, and guess what? When you start telling the stories, they're like, wow, the guy is just so articulate. When the way he presents the story, he just goes hew
Yeah.
hew hew, and this guy is really good. You don't know that there've been a lot of background work. You don't see
I
what's going
love
on.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah. They have no
yeah.
idea.
And most people, how do you say the quote again? Please say. Can you repeat the quote, please?
People don't care about your story until it changes theirs.
Until it changes their story. Until it
Yeah.
changes their story.
Yep.
And the thing about changing other people's story with our story is that I think it's in three parts. The way I understand it is that first you have to know your story.
Yeah. Yes, you do. And a lot of people don't know their story.
That's
They're
where the
just
problem is.
oblivious. They don't pay attention to their life.
Yeah. And they want people to care about their story. And I'm like, how can people care about your story when you don't even know your story? When you don't even care about your story?
They can't.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that you have to know about the people's story. Like, who are the people I want to care about my story? You have to know their story too.
Yes, right. You
Yeah.
want to know your ideal audience.
Yeah. You have to know.
Who do
You
you
have to
want to reach?
yeah. You have to walk a day in their shoes.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And then you then ask, how does my story connect to their story? How does it's a process that's you have to be intentional about it, because guess what? Whether or not whether something happens and you choose a side.
I missed the last thing you said.
Yeah, I said whether you decide to care about people's story or not, what happens is that you choose a side. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to post content, be on social media and stuff like
Oh,
that. No, there's no, I'm just going to. Whatever you do, knowingly or unknowingly, you're choosing a side. So you have to be
yeah.
intentional that what do I want to do? Who do I want to reach? What story do I want to tell?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And you tell different parts of your story to different people for different reasons.
Yeah. Okay. Now that you mentioned it, what are some of the reasons?
Well, for me, when I speak, it depends on what I want them to do at the end of my speech. Like, if I want them to get brave and go write a speech and start speaking, then I tell the part of my story where I used to be terrified of public speaking. And I went to a personal development seminar and I was so inspired by the speaker, I suddenly had this burning desire to become a speaker, even though I was terrified of public speaking. So if I want people to be brave enough to go out and speak, that's the part of my story I tell. But sometimes that's not the point of my speech. And so sometimes I tell different parts of my story. Sometimes I talk about my husband or my dog or my son, or, the time I went to the bank and I broke all the computers. Like, there's all different parts of my story that I tell for different reasons.
Yeah. I'm
I
sorry. I'm
love to
sorry.
make people laugh, though.
Yeah,
I love telling the
you're doing
bank
that.
story because people laugh a lot at that one.
You're doing that. You're already doing it. Like even without going into details, I'm like,
Ah,
what exactly did you do?
oh my
Ah,
gosh.
oh my. I guess they'll
Yeah,
never
that was a
forget
good
in
one.
that bank.
No, they will
Yeah,
never forget. I will
yeah,
never forget either.
yeah, yeah. Say, Kelly Walker, you don't know the new cashier. You don't know her. Yeah, she's the lady that broke all our computers.
Don't
You
let
mean?
her in.
Yeah.
Don't let her in the building.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, honestly, it's about oftentimes people when they give talk, and of course you're the expert in this field, but most times when people give talk, they use big words, right? Because they feel that it will make them look intelligent and all that. And at the end of the day, people don't feel the talk, people don't relate to the talk, people don't connect with the talk.
No.
And guess what? So, like the guy just
Mm-mm.
said a bunch of big words, and that's it.
Yeah, they just spoke for their own ego,
Yeah.
not to help the audience do something. It was all about them instead of about them.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, that's the thing. It's in three phases. It's like if I want to sell a product, I have to ask myself, what do I have to sell? Who do I want to sell it to? Why do they care
Yep.
about my product? Right? I could let's say I was selling let's say I had a podcast, right? I was making a
Yeah.
podcast where I share it's for podcasters where I tell podcasters how they can make their podcast better and stuff like that. And guess what? Tomorrow I'm like today I'm going to teach you how to grow a garden in 5 steps. And then I'm like, dude, really? I mean, there's nothing wrong with growing a garden. Like, it's a fantastic idea,
No,
but that's
it's
not why I'm
great.
there.
No.
Yeah, same thing in talk. I go to a conference. It's something I'm expecting, right? It depends on the type of
Yes.
conference, right? I want an idea. I want to be impacted. If it's a business conference, if it's a speaking conference. And guess what? I'm in the speaking conference and somebody's there teaching me how to file my taxes. And I'm like, yeah, I know this stuff is important. I know it's important, but I don't care. Yeah,
That
that's not
is
why I'm
not what
here.
I came for.
Yeah, yeah, because no, filing taxes is important, right? I mean,
Of course. Of course.
you avoid going to jail, but it's not why I'm there, right? And it's really understanding people deeply to say, because I think there's another quote that people don't care about you until they know how much you care, something like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
love that quote too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing with this story stuff. So it's about you. If you want people to really value you, you have to care, right? It's the people
Yes.
that would respect in our lives for one reason or the other. They've helped us. They've blessed us. Now, of course, there are the celebrities and all that. Celebrities are like, yeah, but there are people who they'll call us like, hello, I need stuff like, and then you're like, no, I have to show up, right? Because they've really cared for us, and so it just makes sense that we should care too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Makes a
Thank you
big
so much.
difference.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kelly. Yeah.
You're welcome.
I know it took us some time to like set up and try to connect, but I'm glad that we eventually were able to like have a great conversation.
Yes, for sure. It was worth it.
Yeah. We can for people that are that they want to learn more about you and what you do, right? They want to learn about how to care about the story.
Yes.
Yeah, quote unquote, care about the story. Where can they
Yes.
do that?
I have a website, kellykwalker.com,
Can
and
you
that they
can
could
you
go
can you
to. Yes. KELLYKAYEWALKER.com. And then if you go to /workbook, I have a free workbook that walks you through the process of figuring out which part of your stories and which stories to tell to which people. So it's a pretty cool workbook. I really like it, and it does help a lot. Because people have so many stories, they don't know which ones to share. But the workbook asks you a lot of questions and helps you figure out the ones that are like your core stories that you want to share the most often, who you're going to be sharing them with, and how it's going to help them. So, kellykwalker.com /workbook.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been really, really
You're
great chatting
so
with you.
welcome. It
Yeah.
has been. You're awesome.
You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loved the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatablewisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.